Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I'm one of the hosts this afternoon, Michael, followed by other host, Sage.
Hi.
And we didn't pick a topic.
Yeah.
Like usual.
You love to see it.
Realistically, I don't think we've picked topics for most of them.
I was going to say.
Oh, how you doing on the James Bond watch that you said you'd start that you have my movie collection of?
Yeah, I've still watched one movie.
Only one.
Yeah. I'm the literal worst.
You sure are.
But I've had a lot of other stuff to watch, so like that's not really my fault.
What other stuff to watch when you said you were going to do this months ago?
But didn't I tell you you would be lucky if I watched one a month?
At this point, you could just watch them on Amazon and give me back the thing.
I will happily give it back to you because then I feel like I have less pressure to watch it.
No. I want you to have the pressure so you watch it.
I know. But I have other stuff. Okay, how about this? Once football ends, then I'll watch them. Because then I have a long break before Formula One starts again.
I feel like you're still not going to.
Probably not, but like I feel like then if I have nothing that's scheduled to be watched, I will have more chances of watching it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And football is going to end pretty soon anyway, so
It's true. Doesn't it usually end like beginning of February?
yeah, February 9th is the Super Bowl, so
Who we got going on right now? I don't even know who the fuck's in the running. Are we in postseason yet?
no, postseason is next week. Week 18 will start on Saturday. No Thursday night football this week, which is a thumbs down from me. But whatever.
I assume the Giants way out of it. And by assume, I mean I know they've been doing terribly,
Holy shit. So the Giants have been fucking garbage all season, right?
They have been the last few years.
And I want you to know, before week 17, they were so bad that they were number one for the overall draft pick for 2025-2026 season, right? Ideal, because you know what? You guys have sucked the whole season. There's no reason to try at this point, right? They had a game with the Colts, and the Colts absolutely needed to win to stay alive for the postseason, for the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. The game was 45-34, and the Giants won. What the fuck is that? Out of literally nowhere, Drew Lock decided, I'm going to become a good quarterback and had 5 touchdowns. I don't understand. This man has been garbage. He's their third string quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Daniel Jones is goofy and can't throw a ball. Like,
hit him with the goofy.
Tommy DeVito played one game and then got injured. And it's just been a shit show the whole season. And I will say, not related to the Giants, but another New York team, the Jets.
Also terrible.
But it was the funniest shit that could have possibly happened, okay? In week 17, they played the Bills. And I just knew the Bills were going to fucking destroy them, right?
Uh-huh.
But the Bills...
I think that with most teams that go against the Jets.
Well, here's the thing. The Bills truly just looked like they were not even trying, okay? Like, they were just having a nice stroll through the park during the game. And it was 40-0 going into the fourth quarter. Right?
40-0?
40-0
That's brutal.
going into the fourth quarter. So the Bills obviously take Josh Allen off the field because they're like, there's no point. Like, we'll put our second stringer in for the last 15 minutes on the clock.
Uh-huh.
Like, let him rest. You know, his MVP status is not fully solidified, but it's basically there, so we don't need to torture this man. Right? There's no reason for injury.
Yeah.
And the Jets took Aaron Rodgers off the field because the man did literally nothing the whole game, only to have their second stringer come in and score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. It was so funny. And the camera keeps panning to Aaron Rodgers, and he just, you can tell, like, he's trying so hard to, like, smile through it. But you can just tell he's like, oh, I am so fucking cooked. Like, this is the worst possible outcome for me.
It's one of my favorite things when QBs, especially for the Jets, like when they were good prior and then go to the Jets and they're fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Or like someone that was bad on the Jets but then goes somewhere else and they're great.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because the problem isn't even, like, the individual player. It's the team as a whole, for sure.
Yeah.
But I will say, I feel like in the case of Aaron Rodgers, like, he's just past his prime. Like, the man is 40. It happens.
I mean, yeah.
We can't all be Tom
Brady.
Brady.
They pulled a Brett Favre on the Jets again.
Yeah.
Where they were like, let's get this guy that's way out of date.
Yeah. Like, and after the game, I was like, I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers is going to go home, look at his 1 Super Bowl ring, his 4, like, MVP plaques, and just cry. Like, that's how bad it was. It was rough. Oh my God. But yeah, Bengals are in for the playoffs. Broncos, I think if they win this week, they will just make it into the wild card. But that does require them to win, and I'm pretty sure they're playing the Chiefs, which means they're going to lose because the Chiefs are not allowed to lose.
Because of...
As mandated by the script and the football gods.
Right.
Even if during the game it looks like they will lose, last second bullshit will happen, and then they win. Like,
so you don't actually buy into that whole thing, though, right? Or do you?
I don't buy into it, but I will be honest. Like, outside of their, I think, last game that they played recently against the Steelers, they were good on Christmas Day. They did play really well, actually. And the Steelers, oh my God! Like 3 weeks ago, everyone was like, "Wow, Russell Wilson is back. This is great." He played like fucking garbage. Oh my God, it was rough. But yeah, the Chiefs did play good in that game. But the 5 games prior to that, all of those 5 games prior should have been absolute cakewalks, not down to the absolute second of like anything could happen.
Right.
And they were winning off of field goal attempts, misses, or blocks at the absolute last second. So I'm like, and they put a graphic on the screen that was like teams who've had less than 30-point games throughout the season. The Chiefs, the Patriots, I think the Jaguars were on there, and the New York Giants. Does one thing look out of place? Like, why is one team 16-1 and the other teams are like 2-14?
Yeah.
That does not make sense. Like, clearly something... The Chiefs should just be doing better overall, in my opinion, for them to be this winning.
Right.
Like, the Bills have been fighting their way through the entire time and playing excellent football. That's why they're...
I was going to say, I've been hearing that everyone's loving the Bills this
year.
year.
That's why they've been doing so well, right? The Vikings have been playing throughout the season and doing really well, right? The Lions, same thing. The Ravens, the same thing. So, like, the Chiefs, their play just hasn't been as good, you know?
Yeah.
And their games are frankly kind of boring to watch. But then you watch them play these lesser teams and they're like dangling the win in front of them, you know? And then they either the other team fucks up or you know what I mean? Or the Chiefs just get some like lucky thing right at the end.
You're right.
And I'm like slamming my head into the table, you know? Yeah. It's very frustrating to watch them.
Oh, the Super Bowl is going to be at New Orleans this year?
Yeah. I guess they'll have to beef up security after what just happened on Bourbon Street.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Also, the exploding Cybertruck in front of...
Yeah, but that was in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, who else is in the playoffs? Definitely the Vikings, the Lions. They're actually having a game on Monday to see who gets the first seed overall, which is going to be a very interesting game. I'm very excited for it. Except I am terrified because the Lions defense, like half of their defense is out on injury.
Oof.
No, it's really bad. They have 9 guys out.
That's
on defense
brutal.
Alone. It's rough. Like every single game watching the Lions, because their defense is so weakened right now, is just like edge of your seat. Like they could actually lose solely because they have no defense.
Right.
The offense.
Yeah, that's terrible.
No, it's bad because it makes the offense have to be literally like have to get a touchdown every single drive.
Right.
Or else you're not going to win.
Yeah.
And the Vikings, I do think the Vikings overall team is better. And I do think Sam Darnoldson is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. So I think the Vikings are going to win, even though I would love to see the Lions win because I want a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. And I want Josh Allen to get the MVP because he deserves it over Jared Goff. Like, it's not even close. But I want the Lions to win the Super Bowl because they deserve it. They've suffered enough. Their entire franchise history. And they've never been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they're not the only team that hasn't been.
No, they're not the only team. But they're one of the oldest teams to have not been to a Super Bowl. Yeah. Like, they're not one of these expansion teams that are only like 20, 30 years old.
Remember when they went like 0-16 or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
When they went fully defeated?
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think that was pre-Dan Campbell.
I was going to say, I think that was like back with Patriots being God tier.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the same year that they were undefeated?
The Patriots?
Yeah. Is that true?
I don't know that the Patriots have had a undefeated season.
Well, until the Super Bowl. They went 18-1.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the first game they went against the Giants, they were undefeated until they went against the Giants, and everyone was like, cakewalk.
LOL.
And then the Giants fucking...
Is this the Giants when they had Eli as their quarterback?
Yeah, this is the 2008 and 2010.
Oh, okay.
I think they were undefeated in the 2008 season until then.
Gotcha.
One of my favorite things about that, which I don't actually know if it is true or not, but I like to think it's true, and I'm not going to look it up because it's funnier to me that way.
Sure.
That Tom Brady had like written a book that was called 19-0.
LOL.
Before the Super, because they were like, we won.
Why would you jinx yourself like that?
And again, I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't want to look it up because I like to think it is.
But I feel like that's like just asking to lose.
Honestly, that game, both of the games were like the most incredible fucking Super Bowl games I've ever seen in my stupid little life. Is that also because I'm a Giants fan? Yeah. But
how does it feel to be a Giants fan? Do you just suffer constantly?
Well, the great thing is I'm not huge into sports.
Valid.
So, like, I'll watch a game if it's on, and it won't bother me. Yeah, baseball games, I usually will be like, I don't have the time for this.
I just can't get into baseball. Like, I tried to this past playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just so boring for me.
I will say, though.
And the guys aren't as hot as in football.
But football needs what baseball has been trying to do, which is speed the game up. Because they put in the pitch clock where you just like, and games have now been going infinitely faster. Football needs that. Football needs a better clock because there's just so much dead time. Yeah. The game is, in theory, what is it?
You have an hour on the, you have an hour on the clock.
Yeah.
15 minutes per quarter.
Yeah, but then halftime
and
is
then
30.
13 minutes for halftime.
13 minutes?
Yeah, and then I think you get 2 minutes or 1 minute between every quarter.
Yeah, something like
and
that.
then you get 30 seconds per timeout, and you get 6 timeouts throughout the whole game. 3 per half.
So let's say a max of 1.5 hours.
Yeah. On the clock. But it's 3 hours.
Yeah, it's 3 hours.
My only thing, like, I don't really mind that it's 3 hours because during all the commercial breaks, I just look on my phone and see how people are feeling about it on Twitter because the Twitter reactions are always iconic.
Yeah. But like, it just.
But my only thing is if the game is starting at 8:30, that's when I get annoyed. I think all games should start the latest at 7:30 so that I can be asleep by 10:30 instead of having to slog through the fourth quarter, which I just know is going to be the absolute longest one, you know.
And also, like, I mean, everybody kind of says this, I feel like, and I get why it's the case that they don't. But also, it feels like way too many teams play it safe now. Nobody ever goes for anything.
Oh, watch the Lions. Dan Campbell, he goes for it all the time.
Yeah,
like people shit on him because he constantly is doing like risky like fourth down
that's what
going
I want.
for it. That's what I want too. I always want them to go for it. I want like everything to be on the line constantly.
Yeah, and again, I get why, because that's like, oh, well, if you fuck it up, why would you want to give them a better field advantage? But fuck it, that's more interesting to watch than just going for the field goal or the fucking punt or whatever.
Right.
Like, at least attempt stuff.
Yeah. And watch the Lions. They be going for it all the time.
All right, well, I guess I should.
That's the team I want to go to the Super Bowl and win. So.
I mean, I feel like if it's the Bills, just because they're New York, I'd have to root for them.
Valid, but the Bills had 4 chances 4 years in a row, and they squandered every single one of them. So.
Did they make it 4 years in a row?
Yeah, in the 90s, I think the 1990, 91, 92, 91, 92, 93, and 94 Super Bowl, they made it to the Super Bowl each time and lost all 4.
That is
brutal.
Obscenely brutal.
Brutal.
Oof.
Oof is right. So I'm like, I feel like
I'd be pissed.
I feel like Bills, I know Josh Allen is so good and their team is so good, but I'm like, Bills, I think a part of you has lost any capability to win a Super Bowl.
Can't clinch it.
So like you're not allowed to anymore.
Yeah. That's insane. That's rough.
But I do thoroughly believe that Josh Allen deserves the MVP this year over Lamar Jackson, which I know is controversial because people are thinking he's going to get it for the 3rd year in a row. And yes, he is very good, and his stats are slightly better.
But what about Jason Kelce or Travis Kelce, whichever the fucking one is? That's
well, Travis Kelce. honestly, I don't even think he's in the conversation at all. Like, yes, he's a good tight end, but like, he's just not had a lot of play this year.
No.
And I remember there was drama in like the first 3 weeks because Patrick Mahomes just decided he's not going to give Travis the ball literally at all. So I think in like the first 3 games, he only had like, this is not factual, this is just from my memory, but like 5 catches the whole game, or like 5 carries.
Really?
Between 3 games. Like, he barely got any ball time. And that like really hurt his stats, which the MVP is not just based on stats, but you know what I mean? Like, that is a contributing factor.
Right.
So he's just not even close to the conversation for MVP. Like, it's really, I feel like the MVP is really between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson this year. Like, even Patrick Mahomes is not even in the running.
Right.
But also, he even has not been playing that great, you know? But then again, the Chiefs overall have been extremely conservative, which is probably why their games have been so boring.
Right.
But the whole team has just not been excellent, you know? It's not like when I watch their game, I'm like, okay, I can see why you guys are so dominant. It's more like, why do you keep winning? You don't deserve to win.
You don't deserve to win.
Because it's not like a fight, you know? They just keep winning out of luck. And that's what's pissing me off. Like, I get it. Anything can happen, right? But other teams who are playing way better and way more efficiently, you know, that's who I want to see on top.
Right.
Like, actual stars who are, like, really working hard. Not that I think the man is snoozing, but you know what I mean, in comparison.
Yeah.
So.
So I don't watch Formula One or any racing of any kind.
Okay.
The only amount of racing I have ever watched in my life was when, what was it, Garage 52? The Le Mans race with the Camaro. That was the only amount of racing I ever watched.
LOL.
But also, it was great watching the Camaro trounce some of the bigger things. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wish they would do more stuff like that. But like, did that make any waves in that space of racing at all, or was it just like, some whatever, and fucking people moved on?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't really watch Le Mans very often, or really at all. Like, I've watched like a couple of like highlight reels and things like that, and like here and there. But really, the only racing I do watch is Formula One, and Formula One is like so hyper specific for what you can have,
right?
That like you would literally never see just like a random vehicle trying to race the other cars.
Well, yeah, well, because they're all like fucking super insane shit.
Yeah, they're like multi-billion-dollar like.
Yeah.
Experimental, super souped up vehicles.
Right. But don't is it not like similar, for the most part, similar-ish cars in Le Mans? Usually, minus the Camaro. Aren't they like similar kind of? I don't know. I don't really.
So from my understanding, for the Le Mans, you understand what I'm trying to say. If my memory serves right, I believe each team gets 3 vehicles.
Oh, I guess they do have a different setup.
And I think the cars are meant to be like, you know, like NASCAR has to be a stock car, but you can modify it.
Yeah.
I think it's that case. It's not like a hyper specific like Formula One car where that has like a very specific guidelines.
Yeah.
I think they're meant to be like, because I know like with Ferrari, they'll have like 3 different Ferraris. Right. But they're standard Ferraris that they've just altered.
Yeah.
Modified. But like Formula One and like IndyCar, you know how the cars kind of look like very long and skinny?
Yeah.
So you're not going to see that at the Le Mans race.
Right.
Or at least I don't think.
Is there any new Formula One drama or anything going on?
Well, Lewis Hamilton is going to be starting with Ferrari for the 2025 season, which is crazy because he's been with Mercedes for like forever, essentially. Like his whole career outside of the very short stint that he had with, I believe, McLaren in his like super early career. Because I think he got his first world championship with them in like 2008 when he was a baby. And then he moved to Mercedes, and him moving to Mercedes in 2012 was actually extremely controversial because everyone was like, no, he's washed. Like, why would you pick him over like blah, 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 right? And then the man went to have 6 world championships. So, like, you know.
Right.
But, like, I think he's moving to Ferrari because he's really searching for that 8th and final world championship just to be really on top.
And he doesn't think he can get it at Mercedes?
Yeah. Because honestly, like, with the new regulations, Mercedes, they haven't been doing bad, but they've not been in, like, champion talk, right? Not even for constructors, because you have 2 different. You have drivers and constructors. Mm-hmm. Outside of Max Verstappen just absolutely demolishing the field in terms of driver championship, like, the only people who have come close to even contending with him have been McLaren. But McLaren's bigger problem is just their number 1 driver, Lando Norris. Because the man just knows how to choke. Like, he can be pole position on the grid, which means he's the first car.
Right.
And you would think, okay, you're the first car, you're in the fastest, like, one of the fastest cars. Like, surely you can lead the race. No, he will immediately fuck up in, like, turn 1. And that's a trend for him. You know? And then because he's their
grandpa playing Mario Kart.
And because he's their first driver, McLaren, like, doesn't super prioritize Oscar Piastri, who is their second driver, because you have 2 cars per team.
Yeah.
But I think they should prioritize Oscar more because I just think he has more potential to actually win more races.
Right.
You know? But whatever. Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari. And Mark and I have been wondering about this, that, like, their current first driver is Charles Leclerc and their previous second driver was Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz moved on to Williams, which RIP to Carlos Sainz in his career, but it happens.
Brutal.
But Mark and I are so curious because I don't think I've seen anything about this yet. Who's going to be their first driver? Do you keep Charles Leclerc as your first driver, who's been your first driver for at least 5 years now, or do you boot him for Lewis Hamilton, who has more experience, you know?
Right.
But he's been their first seat the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that would create tension in the team. Like, if I'm Charles Leclerc, I would be like, okay, but I was here first. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't matter over experience.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like, the same thing for Aston Martin. Like, there's no, even though Aston Martin refuses to fire Lance Stroll because his dad owns Aston Martin, they would never, ever make him the first driver. Like, Fernando Alonso is the first driver because he has 20 years of experience.
Right.
Even though they will never win anything because their car is just terrible. Like,
it's a bummer.
They have straight line speed and that's it. Terrible management, terrible strategies, horrible, like, radio calls, like, when to decide to do things. It's just, everything is awful.
It's a bummer. I love an Aston.
I love an Aston too. I want Fernando Alonso to be winning. You know, like, I think he deserves, finally, after like 40 years since his world championship with McLaren, to get a third and final one. Like, I feel like this man will not retire until he does. Just so you know,
he's actually been racing for 40 years?
No, he's 43.
Okay. I was like, there's no way someone
No.
40.
No. But he has been racing for 22 years.
Okay.
That's a really long time. And 43 for any professional sport is considered old.
Yeah.
Not that I think he's old in terms of
no, but there is factually a point where you start degrading.
Yeah, your body just cannot maintain that. And, like, driving a Formula One car at that age is insane because it just thrashes you. Like, it's so hard on your body.
Right.
Like, I remember earlier this year, they had Ollie Behrman fill Carlos Sainz's seat for Ferrari for a race because Carlos Sainz, I think, like, ruptured his spleen or something. So he was like, yeah, I can't race. I have to go to surgery.
Fair enough.
So they had Ollie Behrman come in, who's a Formula 2 driver. And he just got signed with Haas. So he's going to be a rookie, actually, for Formula 1 next year. So good for him. But he said afterwards, like, in the interviews, he was like, the difference between a Formula 2 car and Formula 1, like, he was not prepared. Like, I don't think anybody told him, like, how severe it was going to be, because he said, like, his body was so banged up and bruised up from that race. And a part of it is that he's driving somebody else's car.
Right.
And the cars are molded to your body.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously his body is not going to fit the shape of Carlos Sainz,
Right.
but, like, still.
Yeah. What I need is in the same way that they had the NASCAR thing with Le Mans and Camaro. I need them to have a race where it doesn't really matter, like, so it won't fuck anybody's stats up.
Mm-hmm.
Throw a NASCAR guy in there. Like, I just want to know what happens.
Well, the thing is, NASCAR cars are actually faster than Formula One cars.
Yeah, I do know that.
But the difference is a NASCAR car is not built to have the kind of turn that a Formula One would have. So
I've never watched NASCAR, so I don't have any attachment to NASCAR.
Oh, no,
I
same.
just think it would be funny. Like, have a race where it's like, I don't know, 50-50.
The NASCAR
versus for F1, and then also a race where like half the drivers in a NASCAR race are F1 drivers or something. But also they're dangerous and like they probably would all die. But like, I don't know, I think it'd be funny.
I don't think they would die, but I do think that a Formula One driver could easily drive a NASCAR car. I don't think a NASCAR driver could drive a Formula One car.
That's probably true.
Like, just based on the sheer difference of the amount of force, because in a NASCAR car you're in a full car.
Right.
You know, in a Formula One car, you're in a pod essentially, and you don't have an enclosure.
Right.
So I think that just physical experience would be more than they are probably used to handling, and because of the cars,
they would have to also make right turns.
They would also have to make right turns. So
which we all know they don't know how to do.
Yeah, only left.
Yeah.
Like, they can only go in a circle.
Yeah, like they can't drive their cars when they go home.
LOL.
Like the significant others.
They have to have a chauffeur.
Yeah. They only know how to go one way. So unless you can get there taking all lefts.
Yeah. But NASCAR, like, it's interesting to me because I think on NASCAR you have like 40 cars.
It's a lot.
On the track, which, yes, that is a lot of cars. But I feel like you're just welcoming like way more severe accidents, in my opinion. Like, yes, you have bad crashes in Formula One, but typically it's only with one, maybe two cars. But NASCAR, like, I see some of these highlight reels, it's like 20 car pileups. It's ridiculous. Because the track is like only this
Typically
big.
40.
Typically 40, yeah.
So.
But yeah, NASCAR, I don't really see the appeal.
I think people go there to watch shit crash.
I don't know if
I don't know if that's true, but that's what I assume.
Well, I mean,
Kieran, you were Southern.
The goal is to not crash.
Yeah, but did you know people that did?
No.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like Formula One is, and the different, like NASCAR, you have to use a standard car.
Right.
Like, what's the word? Retail available or something like that. Like, it has to be a car you sell.
Yeah.
As the company. But modified, obviously.
Yeah.
Whereas
Stock.
Formula One, stock, thank you so much. But Formula One is like a highly specialized vehicle. So that's why I feel like Formula One drivers could drive NASCAR cars, but NASCAR drivers could not drive Formula One cars.
Probably. But I just think it would be funny.
Oh, yeah, it would definitely be funny.
Mic them up, and just listen to these people being like, what the fuck? How do you... Like, I just think it'd be funny.
Oh, my God. If you want... Because Formula One is quick. Every single race is going to be an hour and a half in and out. You know?
Yeah.
And no commercial breaks. Because when are you going to cut away? Like... But
is there not like a break?
No, you just
No, I don't know.
like is there a break in a regular race? No. The break is at the end when you're done.
I assume. I don't know. Like,
no, there's no break. But what I always like is like the radios, because they play the radio messages between like the drivers and the pit crew.
Right.
And some of my favorite is like when they're like really concentrating and the pit wall will be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, shut up. Don't talk to me.
I have seen some pretty funny like things where it's like, I don't know, some dude just like humming to himself while he's going like
Smooth
fucking.
operator.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
There's a really funny radio thing with him where he's doing that and they're like, oh, just so you know, they said you can't sing that song anymore because of copyright reasons. And he's like, this is unacceptable. What do you mean? What do you mean? That is unacceptable. And then like later in the race, he starts singing it and the pit wall is like, yeah, you just got a 5-second penalty for singing the song again.
Actually?
Yeah.
That's so lame.
I mean, it's not their fault. Like,
Got a
they don't have
5-second penalty for singing a song.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut his mic. That's terrible.
Smooth operator.
Yeah, that was what I remembered, like with that guy, because I saw that everywhere on TikTok.
Yeah. He used to do it all the time.
And you know what? And then they killed it, which is lame.
Kill it. Actually, this year the FIA, which is like the Formula One like governing body, gave Max Verstappen, I think, like a $50,000 fine for like cussing too much on the mics, and he got so pissed off. Everyone was mad about this. They were all like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you fine him?
Right.
Like, be so fucking for real. And so during an interview, like right after this happened, he starts cussing in the interview and he's like, oh, sorry, I forgot this is for kids. Like, but everyone was like, no, like the man is right. Like, he should be allowed to say whatever he wants. Like, he's intensely focusing on one thing and nothing else. Like, he's not going to like watch his words right now.
Yeah, I don't think you're thinking about what you're about to say.
Yeah, he's not like, it's not like in interviews he's cussing people out. It's just when he's driving.
Right. Which, again, you're so focused.
And on the TV, they blurt out what they say anyway. Like,
yeah,
they beep him.
Right, because there's probably an amount of delay.
Yeah, because although it's really funny because you know how like with live TV sometimes you just can't bleep something out. Yeah. So sometimes like if one of them crashes or something and they're like hot mic'd, you'll hear them like completely screaming their heads off.
Well, I will say F1 does have some of the coolest crashes. I mean, I say this understanding people die.
Yeah.
But they do also have some of the coolest crashes where it's like car crashes. People are like, oh my God, car's on fire. And then just dude hops out of on fire car and walks away.
Yeah, that was Pierre Gasly in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what clip you're talking about.
And you're just like, I know people have horrific deaths and that sucks. That's terrible. But also that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Yeah, so after I think 2016 or 2014 is when they added the halo, which
I've heard that's like completely life-saving.
Yeah, completely life-saving. Because before that, they thought like, oh, we have like the most, like we've done a lot to like add safety to the car. But then actually, during a race, one of the drivers got into a really, really, really bad accident, and they helicoptered him to the hospital, and he ended up dying in the hospital I think like 2 days later. And then after that, like the FIA was like, okay, yeah, we can't have any more people dying. Like, that's no longer acceptable to the general public that like racers just be dying.
Right.
So then they introduced the halo, which has been like there was a crash in 2021 with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen where Max Verstappen's car was fully on top of Lewis Hamilton's car. And if that halo wasn't there, Lewis Hamilton would have been crushed to death, like for sure.
Just
like fully on top of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, that crash where he just like everything's on fire and he just kind of hops out and walks away and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Well, they wear like everything is completely flame retardant.
But like after all of that shock probably went away, you have to think he's watched that and been like,
I look cool.
I look fucking awesome. Like, that'd be my highlight of my life, probably. That's like, you're literally cool guy walks away from explosion.
Yeah.
Except you were in the explosion.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the crashes, like, during this whole season, Sergio Perez has been terrible. He is the second driver for Red Bull, which is Max Verstappen's team.
Oh, yeah, I forgot Red Bull's also a team.
Yeah. They actually have two teams. There's Red Bull, which is the primary team, and then there's now called RB Racing, which used to be AlphaTauri.
That sounds
I don't know why they keep changing the name, but whatever. But anyway, so RB is their secondary team. But their primary team, Red Bull, with Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez has been absolute dog shit for like 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And before, there's like a month break in the summer. So before the break, everyone was like, this man is absolutely getting fired. Like, there's no way they're going to keep him. But then right before the break, Red Bull, he signed a contract extension with Red Bull. And everyone was like, are you so fucking for real? Why would you do that? And then he was racing even worse after the contract extension. So then after the break, right before the break, Red Bull was like, okay, this time we're for realsies. If this man does not get any better, like, we're going to cut him from the contract, like, regardless of the penalties. Like, we cannot have this anymore. And after the break, he had one race. He was doing so good the whole race. He was in third place, like, almost the entire race. He was doing great. This was the best he had raced in a while. Probably since he was with Alpine, which was, like, at least 5 years ago.
Right.
But he was doing so well. And in the last lap, he gets crashed into by Carlos Sainz. And both their cars just...
So they fire him?
He got a DNF for the race. And they didn't fire him.
Okay.
But...
At least there's that. He was doing really well right until that.
But, no, he has, I think, officially been fired at this point. Which, to the surprise of literally no one, because, oh yes, he did get fired. And instead of Red Bull being like, okay, Yuki Tsunoda, we're going to pull you up from RB and put you as our second seater with Max Verstappen, because Yuki Tsunoda has been with RB for so long, and he's been their only, like, competent driver. No, instead you put piece of shit garbage Liam Lawson, who filled in for Danny Ricciardo because he got fired mid-season. And he did even worse than Danny, okay? Like, actually, no, I can't say that because he was at least finishing races where Danny was getting DNFs left and right. So, like...
But is an accident your fault, though? Was that accident his fault?
Well, DNF is just did not finish.
Well, right.
If you don't finish the race, it doesn't matter why you didn't finish.
No, I know, but, like...
You don't get any points if you don't finish.
No, I understand, but, like...
And he was constantly in the bottom 10. Like, he was not getting any points for the team.
No, I know. I just meant in general. Like, if you crash, like, is the team like, wow, you fucking ruined this race for us? If it's not your fault?
If the crash is not your fault, no. That's
more what I meant. Like, if you get DNF, but, like, somebody else hit you, they're not going to be like, wow,
no,
you
that's
fucking ruined
different.
this.
But Danny Ricciardo was getting DNFs of his own accord.
Right. I just meant, like...
Yeah, no. The team is not going to be like, how could you blow it if somebody else slams into you?
That was all
yeah.
That's what I wanted clarified.
Yeah.
I was like, if it's a DNF and they're just like, you DNF'd, doesn't matter how it happened, that's kind of shitty.
Yeah, no, that's different. But, instead they chose to replace Sergio Perez with Liam Lawson as their second driver.
He sounds like a loser.
I'm telling you, Red Bull is going to open the 2025 season and they're going to be like, oh yeah, you were in the bottom 10 the entirety that you were taking over for Daniel Ricciardo. And look at that, you're still in the bottom 10, even though we put you in a better vehicle. Right. Because it's not the car's problem, it's yours.
Has Red Bull been good, like, ever? Like, are they, like, top contender?
Well, Red Bull has been good. They're kind of dominating right now. They didn't win the constructors title this year. McLaren did, because of, they primarily didn't win it because Sergio Perez was so crappy, and Max Verstappen mid-season had like an unbelievable number of issues with the car for multiple races, so he wasn't getting on the podium every single time. Because in 2023, this man won, I think, 23 out of 25 races. The only other person who got to win a race in 2023 was Carlos Sainz. And that was it. So he absolutely blew the field away.
Okay, so they were doing very good.
Yeah, in 2023. 2022, he won as well, the Drivers' Championship. And then 2021, he won the Drivers' Championship. But that was very, very controversial, apparently. I did not watch this because this was before I was into Formula One. But apparently, him and Lewis Hamilton were in a neck-and-neck race to the Drivers' Championship. Mm-hmm. And Lewis Hamilton, what was it? He was looking to get his 8th world title. That would be the most ever for any driver.
Right.
Right? Because Michael Schumacher, he's tied with for the most right now with 7. Mm-hmm. And Michael Schumacher's like one of the greatest race drivers ever. So he wanted that 8th one to be like, I am now the greatest.
Right.
Like the undeniable GOAT, if you will. But yeah, so during this season, it was basically just a battle between the two of them. Like nobody else was even close. So the whole season is just a battle between the two. And this was when Max Verstappen was an extremely aggressive and dangerous driver. like this man would kill another man if that meant he could get the driver's championship, because this was his first one that he won. Okay, he was just causing accidents nonstop, and the fans were like, you don't see that he's like intentionally doing all this shit. So in the last race, it's neck and neck, right? They're fighting each other out on this course the whole time, and apparently there was I remember there was a safety car. So that means, let's say there's like debris on the track, you can't just let the cars keep driving, because if somebody drives over that, like, calamity, right? So you have a safety car, which means all the cars have to slow down to a certain speed. And the FIA decided to allow for lapped cars to re-enter. So you're already one lap behind, right? To catch up with the cars in the front, like in the regular pack. So you're still technically staying in your own order, but you're catching up a lap. So you're no longer lapped.
Okay.
This was controversial because people were like, no, usually when there's a safety car, you still keep your position.
Right.
You just have to drive at a certain speed limit and follow the safety car.
Right.
So people were like, why would you do that? So then after the safety car ends, it's Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, you know. And I guess at some point, Max Verstappen, like, did something and it caused Lewis Hamilton to, like, lose time. And then Max Verstappen went and won the championship. And people were like, he only won because the FIA fucked up and let the lapped cars catch up. And created just, you know.
Right. I mean, I think, well, all right, so I don't know how it works with F1. And granted, I am taking this information from Cars. But I'm pretty sure NASCAR is the same thing with the safety car. But if like it's there, but you can use it as a way, as if you beat out the car, you can catch up to the rest of the race. Is it the same? Like, if the safety car starts here,
you can't pass the safety car.
No, I know. But like, if you're here on the track and the safety car is here, can you not keep speeding all the way to the point when you catch up to the pack?
Usually
and
no.
Then slow down?
Usually you're not supposed to do that. Once a safety car is out, or what they would call like a yellow flag.
Right.
Because they do it for the whole track. It's not just where it happened if a safety car is coming out. So sometimes you can do that only if it's for a sector or a virtual safety car, which is not like a physical car that's out on the track.
Right.
And that's typically if there's only like minor things in one sector. But if it's a full safety car, no, you cannot just keep zooming your way along.
Oh, okay.
You do have to slow down because there's probably so much debris, or if the car is on the track and like workers are taking it off and stuff, like you can't be flying past them.
Right.
There's people on the track, like that's just too dangerous.
Gotcha.
So you do have to slow down regardless of where you are. They would just allowed the lapped cars to like unlap themselves.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that was controversial. But yes, Red Bull has been good. Prior to that, Mercedes was winning everything. Prior to that, Red Bull again, and then Ferrari, and then McLaren, and then Ferrari, and so on and so forth. But RIP Ferrari, because they really have not won in like 20 years. And it's just been depression for them.
Really?
Yeah, it's been rough.
I was going to say, isn't F1 like their whole thing?
The problem with Ferrari is not their drivers. It is
the company.
It is strictly the pit wall. Like, I would say 2 years ago, they changed their principal and their like primary engineer. And with that change, it's definitely gotten much better. And they changed their principal, who's like the head of the team. But before that, it was just rough. Like, they would make terrible pit calls. Like, calling in a driver to get, like, their tires changed. And then once they're entering the pit lane, once you enter the pit lane, you can't back out. You either drive through it and you have to drive at pit lane speed, because you can't speed in the pit lane, and then go back out on the course, right? So they would be like, the drivers would be like in the pits already, and then the wall is like, oh no, JK, we don't want you to come in, like, don't do it. And so the drivers just waste like 20 seconds for no reason. You know, so they just had like horrible strategies and like time management and tire management, like terrible calls of like what tires to put on, you know, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So that's why they haven't been winning.
Gotcha. All I know is that like Ferrari usually, at least company wise, are like the most stuck up people that there could ever be. Like they don't want you like fucking with their cars either.
I mean, nobody wants you fucking with their cars.
Well, yes, but like Ferrari, I think there are stories of like Ferrari finding out people trying to mod their cars and like taking them back.
LOL.
Like Ferrari is very like or they sue people that do it. I forget there's something with them that they've just like
Ferrari insane. Is extremely protective of their properties and their engineering.
Yeah.
That's as a whole, and I know like there was this funny thing. I think Charles Leclerc said this, that like in Italy there's two religions, the Catholic Church and Ferrari. And it's honestly true, because when they raced in Monza, which is in Italy, Ferrari had a 1-2 finish. And when I tell you, the reaction from the crowd was insane. They had humongous, like, you know, like if you watch the Super Bowl, they have like the huge like football sized flag.
Yeah.
Right? Picture that, but Ferrari. Like, these people were going fucking crazy.
Well, like, it's also like Lamborghini only exists because of how fucking annoying Ferrari is. Like, because I want to say the guy that made Lamborghini was like a farmer or something, and like he had like a Ferrari tractor or some shit. I could be totally wrong on all this, but the way I am remembering the story is that like, and like,
I didn't know Ferraris made tractors.
They used to make like everything back, like way back.
Oh.
But like they're impossible to get replacement parts for, because you have to get them from them, and they are a pain in the ass about it.
Yeah.
And they also cost $1 bajillion.
Yeah.
And so the guy that made Lamborghini was like, fuck this, I'm making my own company, and I'm going to make it way easier to do all of this. And so the whole point of Lamborghinis is that they are very easy to swap out parts. They don't give a fuck if you mess with their cars. Just buy the shit and do whatever you hell you want. But I'm pretty sure Lamborghini was started specifically because the guy was like, fuck Ferrari, they're such pains in the asses.
That's funny. I could believe it. They are pains in the asses.
Yeah. And now they're, you know, the other top brand minus, I guess it's them, Ferrari, and Porsche are usually the big three that people consider. Usually.
I feel like in terms of like general popularity, yes, I would agree with that.
Granted, now, you know, there's probably much more in there, like McLaren.
I was going to say McLaren, and Aston Martin, AMG for sure.
But like
Rolls-Royce, but you don't think Rolls-Royce for like sports.
No, I was going to say.
That's like luxury.
I wouldn't put Rolls-Royce and like Bentleys are luxury.
Yeah.
And even still, Bentley is like, Rolls-Royce has always been like, and then there's Bentley.
You think Bentley is below Rolls-Royce?
Oh, 100%.
You know,
all right, maybe like, granted, I'm not a big cars guy. So I don't really know stats or any of that shit. But at least in my mind, Rolls-Royce is like another level of luxury.
I feel like they're pretty equal footing at this point. In terms
because everything is still handmade.
Bentley too.
Is it?
Bentley will do. I mean, if you're going to get a car off the floor, it's not going to be fully customized. But Bentley, you can get everything fully customized, handmade, like one of a kind car.
What, aren't all Rolls Royces off the line all made by hand?
I don't know if they are anymore.
I thought that was their whole thing.
Look it up. I don't know.
But also, I don't know. I always thought like Rolls Royce was like the fucking king among kings that couldn't ever be
in
touched
terms of like luxury. Yeah.
Just because like they cost a fucking bajillion dollars, and there are like technically Bentleys that a person could buy of like reasonable means.
Are there? Like, I feel like Bentleys are. Like, I feel like a Lambo is going to be cheaper than a Bentley.
Aren't there like somewhat lesser end Bentleys?
I have, when I tell you, I've only seen like 3 Bentleys in real life, and none of them look lesser end. Like, how many Bentley
every single Rolls Royce is still handmade.
How many Bentley dealerships have you seen? Because I'll tell you, there's a Lambo one not too far from us.
Yeah, I know.
But like, a Rolls-Royce dealership and a Bentley dealership I've never seen once in my life. I'm pretty sure you got to call them and be like, hey, I'd really like to purchase a car, please. Let me send you all of my information and show you how much money I have because you won't give me the car otherwise. Like, you can't just test drive one. I mean, you can't really test drive a Lambo either, but you understand.
Yeah.
You know what the difference is? Rolls-Royce and Bentley. You know, have you ever seen those, like, car renting day things where you can, like, pay to, like, drive a Porsche or a Ferrari in, like, a group? And you go on, like, a scenic route in the group? You can't do that with a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley.
There's a Bentley. There are 2 Bentleys that exist that are an average price of $50,000 to $65,000.
Wow.
Apparently.
That's crazy.
Apparently a Bentley Arnage from 1998 to 2009 was the average sales price of $30,000.
I am thoroughly surprised.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure Bentley has models that are of reasonable means.
No. I guess because I just like never ever see Bentleys. And the Bentleys.
My dad was in like a corporate world, so I feel like I saw other people having Bentleys.
Maybe it's just more popular in that field because I feel like the only time I've ever seen a Bentley in person has been like the super expensive, like fully custom everything ones, you know?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are other prices here listed. That
I was gonna say, I'm sure there's
insane.
some like fuck off prices there.
Yeah. But there's at least some listed here that are
more reasonable.
Yeah.
What's the cheapest Rolls Royce you can buy? Probably like $70,000, like a Land Rover. I'm not saying a Rolls Royce is a Land Rover. I'm just talking price point. I feel like that's a good guess.
The Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow is considered the cheapest Rolls-Royce model with starting prices at $20,000. However, the price of a Rolls-Royce can vary depending on the model and year. So sometimes they're still millions. I don't.
Wait,
what distinguishes this? What? Right now, the cheapest Rolls-Royce you can buy is a Ghost 2, and it costs $315,000.
Oh my god, that's not even close. Do you know what my guess was for their reasonable price car? $70,000.
Yeah, Rolls-Royce.
Okay, yes, Michael, I think you're right that Rolls-Royce is definitely above Bentley.
I always put them.
I don't know why in my brain I always associated them on the same level, but I guess I shouldn't. I will say though, my favorite car in the world is the Rolls-Royce Phantom 5 because it's just the best looking car ever made. The ridiculously huge front grille I am obsessed with. Like, who doesn't want to be pulling up in that?
Yeah, it just seems like they are both luxury cars, but for the most part, Rolls-Royce is like
more. You
want to really show off.
Rolls-Royce is more, bitch.
Pretty much. Yeah, it seems like it's just like the absurd high end versus.
Yeah.
But apparently, I mean, Bentleys can get there. But yeah,
it's like a Cartier, like, I don't know, fuck off watch or something.
I thought you were gonna go somewhere with fashion here.
I don't know.
Louis Vuitton versus, I don't know fashion though, so
like price points are weird.
Yeah,
you know, but it's like Cartier versus like, I don't want to say K Jewelers because that's not even close, but like Swarovski versus Cartier. Bentley is Swarovski.
Sure. I don't know watch dealers.
Rolls Royce is Cartier. That's jewelry, but they do also have watches.
I don't know jewelry either, but yeah, I don't know. I always just assume that Rolls Royce has always been the pinnacle
in terms of luxury.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a fair assumption.
But again, maybe that's just because like I knew people that had Bentleys.
Although I don't know if this counts.
My dad never owned one.
Apparently in China, which is only available to the Chinese market. Apparently in China, they have like luxury cars that seem like they're on the same level as Rolls-Royce. Like disgustingly expensive materials for like a car that's like completely unreasonable for it to be in there, but they do it.
Plus, like, you know, you've got a insane kind of car when every car has a built-in way to hide and lock the hood ornament, so that way people can't just steal them.
You know your car is fancy when it comes with an umbrella. They have an umbrella.
Yeah, it's true.
Just in the car, ready to go. You get a free umbrella. Yeah. You spent $300,000, but you got that umbrella for free.
Yeah.
All included in one high price.
My favorite thing is the Dodge Challenger, the Demon. Mm-hmm. You spend all that fucking money, or the Hellcat, sorry, on all the power and everything, and then it's $1 extra to put in the other 4 seats. Or the other 3 seats.
That's really
funny. Because it comes with 1.
That's really funny.
And then you pay $1 more to get the other.
Probably because the other seats just weigh it down.
Yeah, because the assumption is if you're buying this car, you're probably not buying it to drive with other people.
Right. You're not putting your kids in the back.
Yeah, so it's default.
One chair.
One seat. Of course. And then it's $1 to put the others in.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, though, because they're like, some people might want the seats, so we'll make it $1.
Yeah. Which I think is funny because at some point you get the itemized list and it's like $100,000, whatever. I mean,
I know what you mean.
And then it's just $1, 3 seats.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah, I like that too. That's funny.
Yeah. But you have anything else?
No, I think that's good.
All right. Cool. Then this has been Sage's Sports Sesh. Triple S.
There you go.
I have to make sure it's 3, not 2.
You do want it to be 3.
Yeah.
Not 2.
Unlike the other letter where you don't want it to be 3. Where you got to make sure it's either 2, 1, or 4.
Yeah.
Fine line. Anyway, thanks for watching this week's episode of the Vaguely Anime Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, follow. Check out Kat at the Moonstar on Twitch. You have 1 week to watch Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. So get on that. And we'll see you guys next week for Anime Club.
Bye.
Bye.